Welcome to the I'm Such a Pisces podcast. We're two friends taking an explorative journey into all things astrology and a little woo. I'm Christine. I'm a creative, intuitive counselor and coach, and astrology enthusiast. We Pisces like to wear all the hats. You can find me on IG at The Dreamy Piscean.
And I'm Shelby. I am a licensed social worker, a big feelings person, and a light skeptic. Here to learn all the astrological things. You can find me on Twitter at Shelby Tweeting, and being a Cancer rising on Instagram at Shelby Cooking Things. Welcome to our show.
What's up, y'all? We are back for another week of the I'm Such a Pisces podcast. Happy Black History Month.
Oh my god, happy Black History Month. Yeah, for whatever reason, I think the edible's hitting, and I almost was like, congratulations. And then I was like, wait, that's not the right thing to say. That's not it. That's, no.
Like social norms. What do I say now?
Anyway, happy Black History Month.
Hey, y'all, I'm Christine.
And I'm Shelby.
Welcome.
I'm happy to be here. It's Aquarius season.
It's Aquarius season. It's getting weird out there.
I know. And what a fitting topic we have today for said season. Yeah. Strap in, y'all. Christine wrote a whole dissertation for today's episode.
Listen,
so
y'all,
I'm stoked.
I went back to grad school. I went to theology school. We are theologians today, okay?
Yes.
We are scholars.
So much to talk about that this may end up turning into a 2-part episode depending on how much we get through, but
don't be surprised.
Yeah, we have a lot of really fun topics to talk about today, and I can't wait.
Yeah. What an interesting combination of content.
Two opposite ends of the spectrum. That's for fucking sure. But you know what? We have to balance it out with my Gemini moon says duality, okay?
Yes. Yes. I saw a post the other day. I think it was Around the Way Curls. I can't remember who had it on. They had a necklace on that said duality, and then they had the credit to the jewelry. And I went and I was like, oh, it's the Stable Collective. Like they're like they do jewelry for like women of color or people of color, and like. I go on there and I'm like, of course they have all this beautiful stuff, but I need that necklace. And I'm like, no, it's not there anymore. I'm like, instant, I need that necklace.
Boo. Okay, I don't know about the Sable Collective, but I am definitely in the market for some new gold jewelry. I think I'm going to get a little tax return this year, and I would really like to buy myself some new gold jewelry.
Come on, tax refund, yes.
I know. I'm gonna pay off my car, and I'm gonna buy myself a little treat.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about.
Don't you love it when you already have your money spent in your head before it even gets here? I'm just like...
That's always how it is.
Yes, and that is why... I'm going to
have how much back? Okay, you've already planned that out.
That's why I've been eating the same meal for the last, week and a half, because I have no food. I'm just like, and it really hurts my heart. It hurts my little Cancer rising heart, but we're trying to save money.
I know. We're trying to be better. We're New Year, new me.
I was about to say New Year's, same me, because it's still really hard to not frivolously spend my money.
Yes. Who are we? Water signs. Hello.
Water signs.
We're very flowing.
Splish splash. Okay.
It flows in, but it flows out. So, gotta work on that, earth energy.
You know what?
Saving.
I've got a Capricorn North Node, and I really...
You're gonna get there.
I'm gonna get there.
You're gonna get there. Your destiny.
When? I'm asking the universe when is it gonna happen?
Same with my Taurus North Node. Like, hello.
Yeah.
When is the bag coming?
Please let me know. Hopefully soon.
Please. We've been reached middle age.
Stop it. You are not middle aged. What?
Well, maybe not me at this point because I'm going to live long, but I'll just be professor this too. I just continue to say this. Yes, the astrology has told me, and I'm just going to be old as fuck. So I may have a little longer before I'm middle aged, but I mean, I'm tapping up on 40.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I just
18 months.
We both have birthdays coming up. Shout out to Pisces season.
Hey.
Very fast approaching.
Yes.
And I literally forgot how old I was today. That happened to me.
It happens. It happens after 30. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I literally thought I was 30, and then I was like, oh, bitch, I'm about to be 32. I was like, oh my God, what? You are deep into your 30s. I was like, oh my God. It's crazy though. I'm just like, yeah, I feel younger than I ever have.
Funny enough, I was talking to a friend today and we were on the phone and he said that he was 30 and I was like, should I correct him? You are absolutely not. You are not 30.
No, you're not.
It's like, see, it happens. You start, not y'all, but we.
No,
we start to forget.
It's crazy.
I'm like, how old? Like, I had the other day, I'm like, I'm this age. So that's why I've continued telling myself I'm right here up on 40. Right. And, eventually I'll just probably just start telling people I'm 40 and they're like, you're not 40 yet. I'm like, well, you might as well.
Yeah, you might as well. You round up.
I feel the energy.
I
really do feel the energy. I'm like, yeah, I feel it. I feel very comfortable in myself. And like, I'm like, I feel very different than I felt, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
It's a very different place. Now I just need, the bag to catch up.
Man, I'm so... Okay, I know this is a deep question, so we don't have to talk about it for too long, because I know we've got a hell of an episode.
We've got a lot of depth.
But I was literally... I realized that I, missed a year somehow in my head. I thought I was 30. And then I was, having this thought in the shower about, what I know now and how I am now. And I am also listening to this book. It's unrelated, but it's about drug companies and sales reps and stuff like that. And it made me think of if I was younger, knowing what I know now, I think I might just not go the social work route. I think I might just go into sales or something, because now I'm like, oh, I'm so much more comfortable with myself. Mm-hmm. And I could not have done that at the time. I was this little baby who was like, oh no, I cannot talk to people. And it made me wonder, I think I would do something like that for, a short period of time, make a bunch of money, and then go do what I actually wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And I'm curious if you have a similar, what would you do different knowing what you know now? I know that's a big question, so
the hard thing is, I've definitely, I definitely had that realization. I'm not sure, whatever, some time ago, probably about when I was I hate to say when I was your age, but literally around then that I was like, yeah, I would not have done and I was just it was fine. It was just I would not have done psychology, counseling. I would have pursued something more artistic if I had realized how deep that is for me. And I think I just kind of bypassed it, or also you have to remember, okay, so this is funny, okay, hopefully I don't forget this and what I'm trying to say. So you posted something this week about post a picture when you're 21.
Yeah, and that's probably what brought this up for me as well.
Yeah, and so I was like, I laughed when I saw that. I was like, man, when I was 21, we didn't have camera phones. And so the pictures I would have that are digital or from the webcam, we would sit at the computer and be on camera and take pictures. So I have pictures in my dorm room, at the computer.
Yeah. Okay, but I have some of those too. So there was some overlap. I also had those. When I was that age, I was also really interested in photography at the time. So I had a nice digital camera.
Yeah.
And so that's what a lot of my pictures were taken on. But yeah, the phone cameras, I think at that point I didn't get an iPhone until after I graduated college. So I still had kind of a shitty phone, but you could take pictures with it, obviously, and people clearly were taking pictures.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just kind of a funny thing. So it's I think about it in a way that, well, and you said if I knew what I knew now, so I'm like, well, if I knew what I knew now, I would have probably just pursued art and like known it eventually. This thing called social media would pop off, and like,
oh my god, yeah,
you can share your art and you can be trained and do, you know, or I would have done like art therapy or something like that, or even like music therapy, like the things that just tie it all together for me. I think I would always be drawn to something that helps people.
That's true. And I was kind of joking when I said sales, because honestly that sounds soul-sucking as well.
I understand it completely, because I'm like, look, I mean, hey, would I make some money first? Would I do something? But I'm like, I was still pursued art, so it's like at that point in time too, like, because we didn't have social media and whatnot, so like art, I mean, you know, pursuing art's like, now listen,
right
we need you to go do something to get yourself, you know, take care of yourself. We can't have you out here in the streets like you're an artist. Like, no. Go do something that you're gonna get a job with.
Yeah. I think I'm in I feel similarly. Actually, one of the other things I was thinking about, and part of this is because I've been watching The Bear a lot recently. So I'm also like, you know, I like to cook. I think I would have been good in that industry.
Absolutely.
But it also would have changed who I am as a person. Like, I think a lot of who I am as a person is because of my background and my work and my education. And I think I was drawn to that, so that's why I went into it. But like, yeah,
you would have had some different experiences. Yeah.
And we never would have met.
We never
I never would have met my little Pisces bestie. Like,
well, you know what? Have we run our synastry? I still don't think we've done ours. We need to look at it, because you know what? I'm like, you know, we might have something that says, hey, you would have always met at some point.
Oh, you know what? Maybe you're right. Okay, next time we do a shoot the shit episode, let's pull up our synastry chart and talk about it. That is what I want to do.
Yes. Relatable content. Let's do ours.
Okay.
So,
I like it.
Maybe there's something like that. But all that to say, like, art was just, it was art was still like art, but it's, you know, it's like making that choice was you know, in a different space than even now, because I mean, even the types of art, like, you know, you have graphic design now and all these different things that came with technology that like just weren't in the place that they are now. They weren't there. Like, you can go in graphic design now and you know you're about to make some bank, but like before, like, graphic design, I don't know.
But it's also one of those things that, you know, it's like that's how it is at this moment in time, but there's a lot of things that like the market is oversaturated. Like, I think everyone a couple of years ago was like, oh, tech is the way to go. And you've got all these people going into the tech world, and you know, it's just everything, it's a bubble. It's a bubble. Yeah. I don't know.
It's like if you get in at the right time, you're good. And if you get out, or whatever, however you do it, get in and get out.
And maybe that's why I never would have gone to culinary school, because I lived through 2 recessions. So, like, nobody was going to restaurants at that time. It probably would have been a bad time. But again, social media cooking has popped off in a way that, like, you know, I don't know. Anyway, I don't know. We should probably, I got us off on a tangent. So do you want to wrap it back around?
Let's come back. Yeah.
And co-star.
Nice little, like, oh, what if? It's very idealistic. You know, very Piscean. I love it.
I know.
Okay. Oh, we haven't even done co-star.
I know. That's why I was like, we gotta do co-star. We'll come back to that conversation at some point.
We will come back to that.
That was, I would love to tangent on that further.
Yes. Okay, co-star.
Okay. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Go ahead.
Give yourself permission to be who you are.
Yeah.
It's that 40 again. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. We just don't be me.
Be me.
Just be me.
Accept it.
Do playground.
Fun.
Somersaults.
Ooh, okay.
Right.
Danger.
Hey. No,
when was the last time you did a somersault? I don't think I've done a somersault. I feel like it would hurt my neck at this point.
The last time I did a cartwheel, I was like, girl, this don't feel the same no more. I was like, that don't feel right no more.
No, like, not at all. Oof.
You used to have a different. I was one. I'm like, you used to have a different body, like, and you do not work out, and so the legs coming over the man, like, whoa, okay, that feels different than it used to feel. It used to just pop over, and I was like, ooh, okay, I felt that in my wrist. Oh, I probably should do that again. Yeah.
Okay, so somersaults.
Somersaults and sunscreen. So I need to leave.
You gotta get outside. You gotta get out.
Leave Nashville. That sounds like I need to go somewhere where I would need to apply the sunscreen because the sun is out enough and is doing this thing. It's not happening here. Don't. Bragging rights.
Okay.
Musical numbers, no. Oh, no, I love a musical
You were doing a musical number when we got on this call.
Okay. Like,
always.
I love it.
She's always got the tunes blasted.
Always got the tunes. And no pom-poms.
Oh.
No cheerleading myself. Okay.
Well, all right. I'll accept it. I don't love it.
What does your co-star have to say?
My co-star today says, nourish your relationships with love letters, flowers, and dates.
Oh.
So I guess it's like really wanting me to get into the Valentine's Day spirit. Mm-hmm. Romance and such.
Getting that loving spirit.
Ooh, okay, yeah. Well, not yet, but, maybe later. Okay, my do's and don'ts this week are interesting. So we've got do, leave no trace.
Oh.
So we're going to be romantic, but we're going to be either environmentally friendly about it or we're just going to disappear, like secret. Storm chasing.
Oh.
And sleep under stars.
Oh.
I guess I got to go outside. Yeah.
I like that. Again, when it's warmer out, but that's fine.
It's been reasonably warm here this week. It's been like in the 60s for the last 3 days, which is kind of crazy. It's been feeling good. You
know what? It has been a similar temperature here, actually. I have to remember, like, in the afternoon, like, in the morning, still come in, it's like 30, but it's like, it gets to nice, like, between 55 to 60. Yeah. So, I think tomorrow's supposed to be 63. Like, everyone's like, it's going to be so nice. Let's get out. And I'm like, yeah.
Midwestern Southerners just like, oh, wow, the winter's over. Like, yeah.
Listen, once you feel the cold in the South or, like in the Midwest, like, feeling that 60-degree day again, you're like, oh, there's hope
it's
again.
It's like you popped a Molly or something. I swear to God. Like, yeah.
Never mind, it's like 95 degrees in the summer. You're like, oh, God, it's so hot.
I don't care. I'd take that any day. I'd much rather be hot.
I would much rather be hot, but,
Yeah.
Anyways, I digress.
Okay, let's see. So my don'ts today are stereotypes. Cool.
Okay.
I'll keep that in mind for the meets. Secrets. No secrets.
Okay.
And don't spreading rumors. So I'm not going to spread any rumors about you today.
Today?
Or anybody. No, just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I was like, today?
We're just gonna, I don't know. Yeah, we're gonna gossip. No, I'm just kidding. We're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that.
We're not gonna
It's
do
not my
that.
thing. It's not my thing.
Everyone likes a little hot gossip, so it's all right, but...
you
got the Gemini moon. I mean, you get it honest.
I know. The Gemini moon and the Aries Mercury, I'm just like, yeah. I want to talk. I want to tell me your secrets.
Yes.
Okay, do you want to take a quick break and then come back with our relatable content?
Yes. It's a season of yes.
All right, we'll be right back. Can you tell that this is... Sorry, somebody remixed Megan's diss track with the Law and Order SVU theme song, and it was so good.
Not that little bass line coming in. Don't.
Just everybody loves the Law and Order theme music, Everybody loves Megan Thee Stallion.
Absolutely.
It's great. Shout out to Honeybee on TikTok. She makes the coolest little mashup situations. Like that one, I just saw that and was like, all right, we're going to use that on the podcast this week. Thank you. Okay. I'm coming at you. We're back. This is Relatable Content. We are going to get into the conversation about some current events before we get to our meets today. So, hot and fresh off the press, we are talking about the Megan Thee Stallion Nicki beef.
Yes.
So, have you heard about this, Christine?
Yes, I have heard. I have heard the things. I am current.
You're up to date.
You know how I like to be out of, the loop, but I have come into the loop on this one.
Yes, I told Christine that I really wanted to talk about this on the podcast since it was pretty timely. And as we mentioned before, it's Aquarius season.
Yes.
We all know Megan is an Aquarian, right? Mm-hmm. So, bad time for someone to come for her, in my humble opinion. Also, should I just preface this by just being like, oh no, like, are the Barbs gonna come for me if I start talking about how much I love Megan?
They be doxing folk and all kinds of, they crazy. Let me not say too much, not too much on the Barbs. So
Yeah.
Allegedly. I don't know.
Allegedly, I'm not that hard to find on the internet.
I mean,
really
not. So, I need to do more protections, honestly.
TBH, yeah. And in all honesty, like, I don't really have any major hate for Nicki. Like, I liked a lot of her music for a long time. Mm-hmm. I just really love Megan. She just seems like a person I would want to meet in real life and hang out with. So I'm just here to give you what the internet has told me about it so far.
Yes,
so.
we're just relaying the information.
Yeah. So it all started a few days ago, right, when Megan released Hiss, which was this track where she's just like, actually, fuck y'all, I'm going to do whatever I want. I don't have to, I'm just going to say what I have to say and get this off my chest, right? And so among many things that she says in the song, where she's kind of like, just talking about her frustrations with the industry and the people that she's encountered and her entire situation. We all know about her, getting shot, going to court, Tory Lanez, all of that. So she's been through a lot the last few years.
Absolutely.
And so one of the things, among many that she mentioned in the song, is the line, "These hoes don't be mad at Megan. These hoes mad at Megan's Law." Now, Christine, are you familiar with Megan's Law?
I am now.
So what did you learn?
I learned that the law itself is related to a little girl that was like raped.
Sorry, I didn't mean to like put you on the spot.
I'm sorry.
I
just like a trigger warning if you didn't know about Megan's Law. But yeah. Like there's some pretty, some sexual assaults. And murder.
Some very not funny stuff.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, some like really serious stuff. And yeah, I know now about a law. Yeah, a law created because of what happened to this child.
Yeah, so obviously this is not a fucking true crime podcast, so I'm not going to go into it. But it's, it's a law that's designed to protect children. It's named after a girl named Megan who had some bad stuff happen to her. So here's my thing, right? That line could have been about anybody. Because, as we know, the industry is full of pedophiles.
Okay.
Right? The music industry, the entertainment industry, like, kids get exploited all the time in those scenarios. So, a lot of, especially men, it's a very patriarchal kind of thing.
Yeah.
A lot of men end up, taking advantage of young girls and women and, all that. We've seen the story a million times. Yes. So, Megan didn't say anything specific about Nicki Minaj or Nicki Minaj's husband, Mr. Petty. I can't remember his first name off the top of my head, but I remember that his last name is Petty, right? Because he was charged with the sexual assault of a minor a long time ago. So yeah, I obviously don't know the details of that situation. I don't know exactly what it is. But, I see that. I run the other direction. I don't then follow up and form a relationship with that person. Like,
okay.
that's probably not a person that you want to be associated with. But you know what?
Okay.
Nicki Minaj is married to him, and she really, really loves him. And
I don't know if I love it, but it doesn't matter if I love it or not.
It doesn't.
It's
Yeah,
your life.
That's just what she's doing. So, again, I don't really know what happened there, but it seems bad.
It seems bad. Yes.
So the whole point is, like, yes, Nicki Minaj is directly affected by Megan's Law, apparently, because of the person that she's married to. But, like, it was kind of wild to me that she took it so personally. Like, she was like, oh, that's about me. Like,
yeah. I mean, well, granted, the fact that, again, I don't know that if I was supposed to know what Megan's Law was, maybe I was already supposed to know that. I probably was, but
I had heard of it only from listening to, like, true crime podcasts and things like that. Like, I don't really do that anymore, but I was on a big true crime kick for a long time. Also, like, we worked at the same place, but we did very different things.
Yeah.
And the thing that I did was much more related to the justice system.
True,
so, like,
yes.
I had some idea of what Megan's Law was.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was understood. I don't think it's necessarily common knowledge, but, like,
okay, because I was just like, what was it a reference to it? So it was a reference to the law itself, but
well,
Nicki,
it's a double entendre.
Yeah, kind of. Right.
Yeah.
But she knew it was double entendre. Is that we're saying we think that?
Oh, Megan did.
Right.
But Nicki, who knows?
Right. Okay. Yeah. Right. So I'm just going with Megan knew it was double entendre. So okay, great. Yes. So then Nicki decided that this was about her. So she took a personal offense.
Yes, she did. Yeah, she got really upset. So she released a diss track of her own, called Bigfoot, and it's a song where honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I listened to the first, like, 30 seconds of it, and I was like, man, all right, I'm cool. I'm cool on this.
It was trash. I was like, oh, okay. Like, I mean, I honestly, I heard her track before I heard Megan's song.
Oh.
And because I was going to research, and then I found that, and I was just listening to, someone had pulled out some lyrics and stuff like that, and it was playing the song, and I'm like, this is okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
What is all that she talking about? Like, oh, okay.
Yeah. There's just a lot of things in it. Like, she's like, so Megan didn't really say anything about Nicki specifically at all, but then Nicki releases this track where she's calling Megan Thee Stallion Bigfoot. She's, like, making fun of how tall she is,
right.
Which, like, you already know there's a lot of misogynoir happening there, but even though they're both black women, like, yeah, I don't know. Just her, like, masculinizing her, etc. Also, like, referring to the fact that she got shot in the foot, calling her Bigfoot, but then also saying that she lied about getting shot.
Yeah,
so,
like, there's a lot of contradictions in the stuff that she was saying. It's like, but you said this. Like, the internet comments were great. I mean, I would get in the comments and stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, look at call that, me heart and stuff. Like, yes, exactly. You.
That's the one. Yeah, there's just a lot of takes, and I don't know if I know that the internet is just going to serve me what I want to see.
Sure.
So most of the people I saw were, like, pro Megan, but truly it seems like that song Hiss is #1 right now. And I don't know. I know Nicki has the barbs and they're going strong, but, like, at the same time, truly I think Megan is a more craftful rapper. I think Nicki has a very distinct persona. She's kind of established herself. Like, I think she's to be respected in the women's rap game.
Yeah, you have your place. Like, no one. I don't know if no one's trying to take it from you, but, like, I feel like you've made your mark. Like, I don't think anyone can take that. Like, I think she's made her mark. It's okay to let other people shine. Like, it's all right.
Yeah. But it also does seem to me that she has, like, had a hard time letting other, like, because she was kind of, she was never the only, right?
But she was the girl. She was the girl.
She was the girl for a minute, especially like in the era, like she kind of rose to popularity when I was in high school. Mm-hmm. And I know prior to that, of course, we had like Lil' Kim and like Eve and like all of that, who I think she drew a lot of inspiration from, but like they were already kind of past their, I don't want to say prime because that sounds like shitty because they're still amazing.
Right.
But like they had like kind of become famous and like weren't really putting out music in the same way. Mm-hmm. Whereas she was like very up and coming. So
yeah,
she took her little place and now she's not really refusing to kind of put herself in the
not
in
give
the little...
up, but like just like share the space. I mean, you don't have to share the space. You are sharing the space. You're not the only girl, and I think she's, I think some of it is like this whole space with like hip hop in general and women in hip hop, and it's been for so long that it's kind of, I don't know if it's even the perception, but that like only one woman can be, like, so like the rest of you are way down here. There's one woman that can be all the way at the top, but like it can't be multiple. So we're in this space where it's like, no, there's a lot of rap girls out, and like, and everybody can shine, like, and it's okay. Like,
absolutely.
Like, it's great, actually.
It's interesting to me because like male rap also kind of has that very like sort of toxic masculinity, like I'm the best, I'm the go, I'm the whatever, and it's just like, it's like, I don't know, I understand it, but I'm also like, it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, I mean it gets into that whole like the most Def and the Drake and
my God.
The insults of I'm like,
Drake.
I mean, is it an insult? Like, it's like, yeah, like. And then
Drake's not really hip hop. Drake is not hard. Nobody believes that Drake.
And it's not even about that. It's just like, if people really understand, like, pop is popular music. He makes popular music. Like, it's
everybody likes it.
All popular music is not the same within the same subgenre, but like pop music is a kind of a thing. It's like, popular amongst the masses, right? Like, it's not just like, oh, this subgroup that likes this kind of music. It's like a lot of people like this. It's okay to be popular. Like, I mean, well, in this way. And that's all he was saying. Like, yeah, could I hear Drake on in a mall? Yeah, I can hear Drake on in a mall.
I'm pretty sure I have heard
I think I have heard Drake on in a mall.
Like, yeah.
But you know who I have not heard on in a mall? Mos Def.
Yasin Bey. Like, no, you've not heard that man in fucking
now, has he been in my headphones? Absolutely. But like...
Sure. That's different.
But also, it was sad to me, the young children, I know we've tended to this real quick, but the young children that don't know who Mos Def is, and I'm like, oh gosh, okay.
Right.
Like, they're like, who is this man? They're like saying he was clout chasing Drake. And I was like, oh, no. Children,
that man
please.
does not give a fuck about Drake.
Do some research. He was not coming for him at all. And then, he did that apology. And I was like, I mean, I appreciate that he's that kind of human to, like, say, look, this is not, like, before this gets really going, like, this was not the intention. Like,
well,
and they're like,
again, you said this to me, but, like, he... Literally, you could see it on his face when the interviewer asked him the question. He was like, I know I'm going to get some shit for this. I don't want to talk about it, but I'm also going to be honest about it. Like,
right. I'm not going to lie, but I'm like, damn, she done asked me, like, okay, what you want me to... So he does that little chuckle. It's like, okay, it's like you backed me into a corner. Like, like, now I got to say something about this. Like, why would you ask me? If, like, and really, like, why would you ask me about Drake? Like, why?
But you also, at the same time, I know why, because that girl has gone viral. Like, I'm sure someone went through and was like, oh, I want to listen to this podcast now, right?
Yeah.
Like,
it's like, I mean, people are figuring it out, But it's wild. But yeah, I mean, it's in that same kind of vein to me. But the Nicki, like... Megan thing, I think part of what disturbs me about this, because there's so many different things, but like the fan reaction, again, we talk about the barbs, and I had seen this post, and I'm hoping it's not true, but it said that there was some threat made about Megan's mother's grave.
Oh, I saw that too. Like, people, they had to increase the security.
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
and I'm like, that's
it's gotten taken to a whole new
disgusting.
level. Like, that's, no, yeah. Yeah, that's fucked up.
Like, I was like, okay, this, I can't even, because it should never, like, this, like, why? Yeah, there was, I was done. I was done.
One of the things that I was going to say was just that, like, I respect, like, and I really like that, you know, she was like, oh, yeah, okay, you made it, I took offense to this, I'm going to make a diss track. Like, I'm like, yes, resolve your problems via diss track.
Music,
like,
yes.
do it the old school way. Right. Like, you know, you don't need to be on Twitter or whatever, but it's also, like, that now Nicki has taken it to, like, she also, there's a line in her song about something about lying on your dead mother, like,
yeah,
blah, blah, blah. It's just like, you didn't have to do that. Like,
yeah,
Megan didn't say anything specifically about you, and you are so clearly just being mean to her. For what? Like, yeah, truly, like, I don't know.
It was,
Megan seems like somebody
gross.
Who's like a really genuine person, and I know that that's like kind of naive to say about celebrities. I'm sure everybody's doing their own, you know.
Well, I think there is a certain thing it takes to be, you know, to survive, right, in that space. So yeah.
Yeah, probably, but I don't know. Every like, whoever's managing her social media, whoever her like PR person is doing a really fucking good job, and I don't know if Nicki just doesn't listen to her PR people or what the fuck, but like, I don't know, man. She just always feels like she's just digging herself a hole.
Didn't she say she was a Sag?
Yes.
Yeah.
She's a Sag.
So, no.
The fuck is chaos. Like, she's so chaotic. The other thing that I saw, and this is the last thing that I'll say about this, but it was fucking gross, and I was just like, did you see... So somebody asked Nicki's husband for, like, a quote about the whole situation, right? This man who's caused all this controversy.
Why do we care? Yeah, like, why do we want to know what he thinks?
Right. But somebody asked him what he thought, and he said, I love it when Nicki acts a little crazy and immature. And everyone was like, immature? You like it when she acts like a child? That's gross.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gross. This may be not the right thing to say, sir, considering these fucking allegations against you. Gross.
For liking
so fuck that guy. Yeah. Fuck that guy.
You know, and then we could start drawing some parallels, but all right.
Yeah.
To her and a child. I'm like, that's talking that child voice, that little like,
you know.
All right. I don't even want to go down that path.
There's a lot happening there.
Yeah.
I won't carry on, but all I have to say is we love Megan. I love Megan.
We support Megan.
We support women's rights.
Absolutely.
And women's wrongs.
This feels very, like, true as a former watcher of Snaps. Like,
yes.
It's like,
whatever
she had the right to do it. Like, she had the right to do it.
She really, I hope she comes back out with an even better diss track. It all just means more Megan music. And,
yes.
You know.
And it was, hers was so good. Like, it was just, like, I'm like, this is just like, it was just a good song. And I'm like, then I listened to it, I'm like, I wouldn't turn this on. Like, I wouldn't, what is this?
Megan's just a really fucking good rapper, and I just don't think that Nicki is anymore. Like, I think that she was at one point, and now she just gets on a track and is just like, yeah, like, and then is just like, that's it. And I'm like, that was weird. You don't think that was fucking weird?
And see, and this is why we have Andre 3000 saying, y'all not gonna have me out here looking like that. Like, you're not gonna have me out here trying to defend my position.
I'm gonna be over here.
I'm cool. I'm playing the flute now. It's fine. Like, it's fine to move to something different. Like,
if Megan would have just like stayed if Nicki would have just stayed where she was at like the height of her fame and never released anything or never like talked to the press ever again, everyone would still just be like, oh my god, and everyone would be like begging for new music and like. Yeah, just the same way, again, with, like, the Andre 3000 comparison, like, he quit, and like everyone is constantly like, give us more, and he's like, actually, no, I'm gonna do something totally different. Like,
He's like, I'm not gonna do Jay-Z, I'm not gonna come back, but I will give you something completely different so you can vibe to that, because we're we move into a higher frequency, right? Like, we're evolving.
That's right.
So we're gonna give you a little something else.
He got that Erykah Badu transformation that was like way early on, but he's like, I'm on some new shit. Like, yeah.
The programming, okay? Or the deprogramming.
There we go.
All right.
There we go.
Yes.
Well, that is truly... Oh, hang on, I messed something up here. Okay, there we go. Actually, that is truly all the relatable content I had this week. I just wanted to talk about the Megan Nicki beef.
Yes.
Should we ask the listeners, should that be our poll this week? Like, whose team you're on?
Are you team Megan or team Nicki?
I'm kind of scared to ask the question because now I feel like people will be mad.
We don't want to see,
but also, if you're mad at me for that, I don't really want you to listen to this podcast. I'm good, actually.
If you, like, VERZUS, I mean, I don't even know if it needs to be a team. It's just like, there's just rights and there's some stuff that's just wrong. Like, it's like,
it's some stuff that's just wrong. Objectively
this wasn't
wrong.
Okay. This wasn't cool.
Yeah.
Like, you went too far. You crossed the line.
That's right. Well, I'm gonna go jam out to the Hiss Law and Order soundtrack remix while we take a break. And unless you have anything else, we can come back for our meets really soon.
We're coming back for the meets real soon.
All right.
Hey friends, I wanted to take a quick moment to introduce you to my new self-paced e-course called Astrology for Self-Growth. I've been working really hard on this, and if you are interested in taking your astrology knowledge and application a little deeper, join me for this course and learn how to use your planetary placements to enhance your life. Personal growth is how we do our little part to evolve this world, so join me for this pre-recorded, at your own pace course available today. It's in my Etsy shop called The Dreamy Piscean. You can also reach that shop through the link in my bio from my social media pages, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, Threads, or X, formerly known as Twitter. My link tree is in my bio. I'm on all of those accounts, and you can find my Etsy page. It just says shop. That is the page you're looking for. If you find that page, you will find this e-course. It will be front and center. So join me for the course. I'd love to see you there. Love to learn together. See you soon. All right, we are ready for the meets.
Hey.
So this is a long-awaited episode.
Yes.
And so we are talking about astrology versus religion.
This could be an entire documentary TV series.
Surely
I think.
Could.
If we really wanted it to.
The information that is out there and the different things that you could really get into talking about, vast. And so, yeah, there could definitely be some
unlimited
long form content here. But we will not do too long of a form. But we may have a 2-part episode.
Which that's okay.
That's all right. But yeah, just know it could be much more. So.
Will you just tell me before we start really quickly, because I know this is a topic that we've talked about doing for a long time, but will you just tell me, like, what sparked this for you? Like, what made you think that this was going to be a topic that you really wanted to talk about?
So it has always been told to me that I should, like, stay away from astrology. So we'll back up to we've discussed, like, I was raised Christian, raised in the church. Baptist, to be exact.
Very religious upbringing.
Yes. And so I always liked, the horoscope or whatever, and it was very, back in the day. I'm like, back in the day, God. But my little magazines, as a teenager, like,
Cosmo,
okay.
There's a horoscope, yeah.
Yes, you read your little horoscope and it's cute. And I was like, okay, cool. And that's all it was. But then, over time, or not over time, but in these more recent years, I've really gotten into astrology. And of course, in the more recent years, they don't exactly align. Well, they don't align really at all. My decline in going to church and all of that. And then, they don't actually necessarily align and overlap.
There's not necessarily a pattern there.
But it just is, astrology is something I connected to post.
After, not really church. While you were deeply part of the church.
Right, because...
Not that you're not still a part of it, but...
It just, it wasn't something that, it's just like, oh, you don't do astrology. But there's never like a, but why? Like, there's, people just tell you that, like, no, you don't fool with that. Or, oh, that's, evil. Or, that's Satan.
That's devil
or,
shit.
Like, it's just like everything becomes the devil. And it's like, okay, but... well, is that really this way? True? Like, you just start questioning things. And so then people just do stuff, then you have people, in the church that just have their little, I do this. So everybody has their little thing that they're just like, they have their wells about and like, I do this because of this, or, it says this, and, we just be tweaking stuff and making it work for us.
Everybody's making it work for them.
Interpolating, just...
but it's also funny to me because it's like we all know that to be true about people who are religious, but at the same time, like, for you it always kind of seemed like it was one or the other, like even calling it astrology versus religion instead of like astrology and religion. But it's like for a lot of, it feels like your life, it's just been like you have to pick one because you can't have both, and like that's bullshit.
Right. Well, and that was my thesis. Was that my hypothesis? That was my hypothesis, right? My hypothesis. Porque no los dos. Like,
porque no los dos.
Now, we may come into some findings of why not both.
Okay.
But we'll get there. But that was definitely what kind of sparked that the want to do this topic, because it's been a thing, of course. Now, I have plenty of people in my life that are still religious, most. Most, but still there's plenty of people that aren't necessarily religious. Or like they're in a different faith. I'm your weird little devious friend over here that's got I've got some other friends. I've got a little group, but it's like, still I'm like, it's probably still most are like Christian or whatever, or someone are in a religion, I could say that. And so there's always this thing with like, oh, astrology, it's just like, okay, girl, but also this piece about getting more comfortable with me and being in this space. I'm like, okay, that's fine, you don't have to be I'm not gonna then it's not for you,
believe it's real or whatever.
I'm like, and I don't come for your stuff, just don't come for mine. It's like we can just respect, like, okay, we do different stuff, and that's cool.
We have our differences, and that's totally fine.
And there are people in my life that do that very well, like, and there are some people that don't.
Yes.
So but that's where it came from.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. I just wanted to ask that. Really
that was great.
I'll let you kind of get into your thesis here.
Yeah. So my thought was getting into this is like, why can't you have both? Because when I started to study astrology, or even just started to kind of get mildly interested, one of the books that I was reading, like the very first line of the book was like, astrology is not like it's not a belief system. Right. It's not a religion. Right. And so right then I was like, okay, well, what is the issue? What is the problem? What is the thing that people are, why are all these religions like, no, absolutely not. to astrology if it's not a belief system.
Well, but people say that about anything. People say that, which I know we'll get into this later, but like even doing like trying to bring yoga and meditation and like these ancient practices that have nothing to do with even really a god. It is a spiritual practice, but people will be like, that's devil shit. And I'm just like, no, what? You're stretching. Like,
it's a reach.
You're breathing.
It's
like,
okay. Like,
I don't know. Anyway, yeah. I have a hard time with it. Clearly, I was not really raised religious, though, so that's going to be my, like, bias coming through of, like, I just was not exposed to religion like that when I was a kid. You know, it was just sort of a vague Christianity, but nobody...
I love it. It was a vague Christianity.
Yeah. My grandma grew up Baptist, but, like, we didn't go to church. My mom made us go to church one time, and I think it was, an Episcopal church, maybe? I don't know. Like... Actually, I just made that up. I have no idea what kind of church it was in hindsight. And, like, I had friends who went to a non-denominational chapter or non-denominational
church.
Chapel. Chapel. I don't know why I said...
Oh.
Yeah, whatever.
I'm like, was it a chapel? It was a chapel. Oh, it was a church. It was a church.
Whatever.
Whatever those places are. Like, some people go there. Like, chapel?
See,
church?
I know so little. And then I went to Catholic school, and I remember showing up to Catholic school and being like, it's a cult in here. This is so weird. Why are we drinking blood? Like... Anyway, I'm sorry. I said I was not going to tangent because we have so much to talk about in this episode, but I felt like I should give the listeners like a little more detail on my perspective coming in. Like, I respect everybody's beliefs and religions.
Absolutely.
But I personally am not really a religious person. I think I'm a spiritual person, but I just don't have the formal background in the same way.
Yes. I love it. I mean, look, you know, I think I'm a person that will probably always be churchy. But
it's in your spirit.
It's in there, you know.
Sometimes Christine has to give us a word.
You know, sometimes a word comes through. Sometimes the scripture applies, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying that I can't use this. I'm not saying that you can't. You know, like, I'm just saying
that's ideal.
That maybe there might be more. You know, maybe
everything is
all
applicable.
Not bad. Like, but you know, that's I respect if that's how you feel, then that's how you feel. Just let me do me. That's just my space. Just let me do me. I'm gonna let you do you. I'm gonna respect you. You respect me. Hey, we good. So okay, let's jump into this. So we're gonna get into some like definitions here. So just so we're clear on what we're talking about, because I think some of this stuff gets put all together.
Clear as kind, you know, this is a great place to start.
And we want to, you know, when we're, you know, whatever I'm doing hand movements. Anyways, we're trying to,
and your nails look so cute, by the way.
Thank you.
You're doing the hand movements and you got all your rings on and your nails, and I'm just like, I don't have nails right now, and I'm just like, oh, they look so good.
It's like, you're like, I gotta get back to the salon.
Right. Seriously, for real though.
It's like, get on these press-ons, Shelby. Okay.
I know. Unless, do we have any listeners who want to sponsor me to getting my nails done? If you do, I'll send you my Venmo. Just,
or if you like to, you know, any companies want to send me some press-ons.
Man,
like, hey,
slide into the DMs, please.
Come on, I'm wearing them all the time. Okay, so what is astrology? All right, we're gonna start there. So astrology is a tool, right? It's a tool for observing human behavior and world events in relationship to planetary placements and movements.
Great.
It's also been called a language to describe energy, and it's the energy that is created by those planetary movements and placements.
I love that.
Right?
I love that definition.
Yes, that is astrology. What is religion?
What is? Oh man, what a question! You did do a thesis.
You got to get these definitions at the front, right? I went back to grad school, girl. I'm like, girl, what are we doing? I'm at the library and everything. Religion is the belief and worship of a superhuman power or powers, especially of a god or of God or gods.
Okay.
A particular system of faith and worship. a pursuit of interest to which someone ascribes supreme importance.
Supreme importance. Supreme. That sounds so serious. Okay, yeah. Got it.
This is going to be great. I love it.
I know. I'm so sorry already.
You don't know. It's really great.
We prepared for this. We knew.
Okay, so now I wanted to throw this in here because I think, again, this we get a lot of things all together. So I said, what is an ethical system? Because we have religions, we have ethical systems, we have people who use the religion as an ethical system. But some people don't even know to use ethical system as a term. So, okay. An ethical system, in its simplest form, is a system of moral principles.
Right. Okay.
So it's going to affect the way people make decisions and live their lives. So ethics deal with what is good for individuals and society, and also defined as moral philosophy. So like yoga, we talked about just a moment ago, more an ethical system that many, of course, Westerners at least, don't actually know is an ethical system.
Right. Well, and it can be an ethical system, but you can take the
asana practice out, and it's like, but most people, just don't know because, it's just not introduced to you until you go through its training.
Right.
And you're like, oh, wait a minute, what? There's more
the westernized workout version of it, and it's not.
Hello?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, do a little more research, people. So I did say a side note I wanted to do at some point. When I was doing the research, I was looking into the connection between yoga and Vedic astrology. I was like, this would be really interesting for an astrology adjacent episode because, I'm like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah. Okay.
Do these
We've discovered
things go together?
Other research topics within our research. Okay, great
Start
job.
getting curious. I was like, okay, let's go back to school. Somebody give me a scholarship. I'm ready to study astrology. Okay, that's the only thing I'm going back to school for. So
amazing.
That's what I'm telling y'all. So my question. So what is the issue here?
What's the problem?
What's the problem? Astrology is not a religion, right? So, what's the problem? So we've now clearly established that. So why the vitriol from the religious community? Why?
Because they love to hate.
Are they
love to hate.
There's
a bunch of player haters over there. I swear.
So I was reading around the internet, as I do, to see people's general opinions about, what the two were. So some people were saying they feel religion acts as like a guidance and an ethical system for people and a belief system. And so they also feel that astrology is incorrectly purported as a science, and it is in fact a pseudoscience. Now, again, I don't know who's purporting astrology as a science. I've not heard any astrologers.
Probably the people that are confusing astrology and astronomy.
Right.
The people that don't know the difference. Yeah.
It's like, no one, who said that? Like, it's like that, the Real Housewives of Atlanta portion. Who said that? Who said that? I didn't say that. No one said it was science. No one said that. So, I don't know. But I think people just get all up in arms about it. People get really in some of the comments and things I was reading, I'm like, people get in some really interesting spaces about astrology especially. But I will also give that some of these same people were giving it to religion. They're like, it's all bullshit. They were just like, it's all crap. I'm like, well, I don't know. I'd say all of that, but,
Yeah. I don't know.
It might not be as, there's, we got some things to work out, but
I have so many thoughts, and I'm just like, I can't even. We'll get there.
Right. It's like, there. I think there are things. There's things, but I think there's a lot of bullshit in there too. So, also interestingly, the opinions that I read stated that because people tend to be indoctrinated, and I chose that word, into religions, in case anyone doesn't know what that means, introduced like within their childhood, that made them more defensible than people choosing to engage with astrology later in life. And I was like, that's interesting. So like, because it was introduced to you as a child, that made it valid? So what if astrology was introduced to me as a child? Would that not make that, if it was introduced as some kind of value system or something? I don't know. Like,
all I'm learning now is that like our neural pathways have a hard time, adjusting to new information as we're older. If something has been introduced to us in childhood, like,
interesting argument. I did appreciate. I meant to find this person's their screen name or whatever. This is on Reddit, but their quote: "I don't think anyone ever got killed for not believing in astrology." And I was like, amen to that. No wars happens, no people were slaughtered.
Man,
no
like mass
genocides. Okay, come on.
Definitely not that about astrology, that's for sure.
None of that was going down about astrology. So, I do think there's a lot of confusion about what exactly astrology is and what it's supposed to do. I think that was another thing that came from that. So, the next thing I have in here is just kind of for our information, the top 5 religious groups worldwide. First, we have Christianity with 31.1% of the world population.
Of course, so many of us.
So many.
I don't know why I said us. Like, I'm definitely not a Christian.
So many people.
so many people.
Islam, number 2, 24.9%. Then we had irreligion. Now, I did look up irreligion because I'm like, what exactly do they mean when they say that? So first I'll say irreligion is 15.6% of the population. And so this little definition I have is the neglect or active rejection of religion or simple absence of religion. So this also includes atheism, agnosticism, secular humanism, and anti-theism.
Interesting. Okay.
Also, it's a naturalist world view that excludes belief in anything supernatural. So just as that clarification. So now we know irreligion. Now the next group is Hinduism, it's 15.2%, and Buddhism with 6.6% of the world's. So those are our top five.
Interesting. I'm kind of surprised that Judaism isn't in there.
Yeah, and I wonder. I don't know how that's. Yeah, because I definitely parsed that out later in mine. But yeah, I have to go back and pull out the full list. But that was the top, and that was interesting. I thought irreligion was interesting in there.
Yeah,
and maybe that's why Judaism didn't make it.
Well, too many people that are just like, actually don't really believe in anything.
Yeah,
not nothing.
So
but you know what I mean.
We need to count those people in the number. So there are over 4,000 recorded religions, faith groups, and denominations around the world today. Did you know? I knew there were a lot. I didn't know there were that many. I was like, oh, see this? But that speaks to a whole thing to me in my mind. Like, there's so much division about what people believe spiritually anyway. So, like, why? I don't know. It's weird. Like, so why not just let people do their thing? Like, clearly people are connecting to different shit.
Yeah, I'm curious about, like, whether that 4,000 is, like registered religious groups, like if they've registered with somebody, or like certain people who like kind of are just making their own distinctions about things. Like 4,000, honestly, for how many people there are in the world, like I'm surprised it's not more.
I get it. Yeah. I think even, I think I've talked about this before within the Christian faith of like how many different denominations there are. And I think I do talk about this later, but the practices within the denominations can vary quite widely. And so it's like, even when we're talking about Christianity, like, finding those, you kind of have to find those kind of core tenets, because otherwise when you look at it being practiced around the world, you're like, what am I this is the same as this? Like, y'all believe the same things? Like, but then you'll have people within the faith like, well, no, we don't condone that over there. We not doing, it's like, we don't consider that part of us, or,
Again, everybody making their own distinctions. Yeah.
I mean, even with it, like, Catholicism and, like, the rest of
literally everybody else. Yeah.
Like, it's just like, oh,
like
no,
I said,
that's
it was weird over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a fan, personally.
But I mean, let me think about, our friends over in Utah. They got some different things going too. And I'm like,
man,
all Christian.
There's a bunch of those here as well, too. I was just talking to Sam, who's a firefighter. Mm-hmm. And they had to go out to this Mormon church to do a fire inspection, because they do those like every once in a while. And he was like, yeah, it was weird in there. Like, they have those big spiral buildings. He keeps calling it the Jesus slide. And like, there's all kinds of weird rooms in there. He was like, they looked at us like they didn't want us to be there. Like, they're hiding some shit in there for sure.
Yeah, they don't play around now. If he was out there, he was in Utah.
No. Here.
Oh, here. In
yeah,
where you were.
In
Okay.
Kansas City. Yeah, there's
okay. I was like, okay.
There's Mormon churches all over the place. Like,
yeah. I just did that because I'm like, I've heard, I watch my Housewives, and SLC is one.
Right. Utah is like
franchises.
the place.
And there's definitely some interesting religious drama that is on that show.
That is interesting too, because there's so many people in Utah are like very rich, very Mormon, and there's also, I forget like what the distinctions are, but there's groups of LDS, like the ones that believe in polygamy, supposedly, like that whole group is bigger in Utah, but then there's the ones that believe all the same things, but they don't condone polygamy. Like, there's a big group of them here, and then in Texas, I think.
Okay. That's another kind of hub.
Yeah, anyway, sorry, now we're on a tangent.
No, all of that's, it gets very, it's very fascinating. Like, they find places to go. Or find places to get away from some of the other stuff's going on. Like, we can separate from that. But that's how it happens. It's always something that it might not be as big, as like polygamy. But it's always something. There's people are like, I don't do that, so we're going to go start our church over here. We're going to start this over here. And that's how you have all these denominations. I mean, we have people that work with snakes in the church, and, like...
Oof, yeah.
Like,
very fire and brimstone.
Some churches burn incense, and I'm like, oh, they burning incense in here. Like,
they do it in the Catholic Church. Yeah.
Right. I mean, that was foreign to me, because I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on?
Right.
You're just having all these different experiences, which is why I enjoy actually going to different kind of worship
it's
places.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued by it.
It's very intriguing. So, okay. We won't go too far down.
Yeah, back to the outline here.
So many of the major religions seem to take issue with astrology due to it being conceptualized as a divination tool or practice.
Oh.
So,
okay.
What is divination? We've got to get all our definitions.
Another
right?
definition.
Thank you. So, it's the practice of seeking knowledge of the future or unknown by supernatural means. So, like reading tea leaves, tarot cards, scrying, using pendulums, and astrology. Also other things.
Would you, I never actually have looked up the definition of the word divination, but I have a general idea of what it means. Would you consider like manifestation work? Like, would you consider that a form of divination because you're like calling in something kind of thing, or is it different?
I don't consider manifestation work divination, because manifestation work to me is more like it's that setting an intention, taking action to move towards that, knowing that the universe is backing it, that whole thing, right? Like when I'm putting into action, or again, you could manifestation, I believe, crosses the lines of religion and different kind of spirituality. So I'm like, I think it's a universal thing. But people like to make it real woo-woo, and I'm like, it doesn't have to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's literally why I asked, because I was like, I kind of think, I was having this conversation with somebody the other day talking about, like, different kinds of spirituality, and, like, prayer very much is, like, pseudo-manifesting, like, you know, so I'm just like, okay, so why do you have a problem with it? Like, anyway, sorry. More tangents.
Yeah.
Carry
There's
on.
a lot of similarities. And so, it's a very interesting thing. So, divination really is kind of like finding knowledge, getting knowledge versus like saying, this is what I want to see happen and putting all of my energy towards making that thing happen.
Right. Okay.
So divination tends to be, like you're kind of tapping into some different energies, some different spirits, like you're definitely tapping into things. And so, typically other religions, like, don't want you tapping into stuff outside of what they do, or no, you're not supposed to do that. I'm only the one that could do that, whatever the different people feel. So the purpose of divination is to discover the source of trouble in order to remove it, whether by sacrifice, counter sorcery. I'm like, ooh, okay, counter sorcery, or accusation and ordeal. So these are just, these are some, different terms. I'm like, now I didn't get into all of these definitions just because we would be going around for days. But
this is just a tiny rabbit hole in the bigger picture. Yeah.
So that's the purpose. So the definition I looked at spoke to divination being helpful for past and present concerns. So usually not in the future, because that would be to borrow trouble basically from tomorrow, right? Like, so we're not trying to get knowledge, and we can't really get knowledge from the future. Well, I mean, we can, but like, like we're not trying to get into that,
so
right? We're just trying to deal with the stuff we already know.
Yeah, which in an astrological case, you're looking at your life laid out on a map, an astrological map. You're picking up energies and seeing like where you might have that energy, how it might have, affected you in the past, how you can like disrupt patterns. It's almost therapeutic. Does it sound like therapy to you? Does it sound like self-reflection?
We're just trying to get into those things. And so, this is just in a more, deeply spiritual way. Like we are calling into some spiritual things. So I don't want to make it seem like it's not, like we are, when we're talking about divination, we are getting, we're tapping into some spirits.
Something.
And what spirits you're tapping into, that, hey. But that is, So now we're going to get into some philosophical perspectives here, okay?
Okay.
So, one of the places we wanted to look at was the existential questions, right? So how do these different areas, how these religions, how's astrology, how are they addressing like the questions about like what is the meaning of life, or our existence, or the nature of the self? Like, what do they say about these things? So generally, religions have in common two most important teachings regarding the meaning of life. So one is the ethic of the reciprocity of love among fellow humans for the purpose of reuniting with a supreme being.
Oof.
The provider of that ethic. Okay.
This is a thesis. Like, that is essentially what religion is, right? That's what we all kind of purport.
Yes, this is what they're saying. This is the meaning of why we are here. And so now the second thing is spiritual formation towards an afterlife, or eternal life as a continuation of our physical life. So that's what generally they say. That's the meaning of us being here. In Christianity, the meaning of life is to live through the glory of God and to serve Him. Further, this meaning is to convert as many souls to God's kingdom as possible. And so, if in biblical terms, become fishers of men, right? Because Jesus, taught His disciples to fish. So He wants you to go and make more disciples and become fishers of men. In Hinduism, the meaning of life is to achieve the fourfold. The Dharma, Artha, the Kama, and the Moksha. And so astrology doesn't really give answers to the meaning of life, right? You can look at your astrology and find your kind of personal purpose, right? We can look at our North Node. We can look at different energies that we have and what we may need to do in our lifetime. But we don't really get, like, what is the meaning of our existence as humans? So now we're going to talk about human agency and control. So we're just, we're going to address a few questions here, and we'll get into some of these things a little bit later as well. So some of the things we're going to look at, how do they conceptualize human agency, right? Like, do we have control?
Do we have free will?
Right. Yeah. Or, is it all kind of planned out? Are individuals active agents in shaping their destiny, or as subjects to external influences?
Divine influences, perhaps. Yeah.
We talk about ethics and morality. So, of course, many people decide to raise their children within a religion for the reason of giving them discipline and a moral and ethical system to live by. Now, I say, this is my little caveat. Of course, part of the issue is raising them to believe that there's only one way or one religion, and not giving them the autonomy to make those choices for themselves.
Right.
I go forward to
before their little brains are even developed.
Right. And is it really a choice if you've been conditioned from childhood to believe that if you don't choose the religion that you were, raised in, that you are going to spend eternity, an inconceivable amount of time, in a fiery and burning hell?
Yikes. As a child,
what kind of choice is that?
What the fuck kind of choice is that, right? I mean, I've heard people also make the argument that if you raise kids, like, without any kind of religion, the odds are, like, they've already kind of, I feel like people that aren't raised with religion, or who come back to, like, are given more of an option, don't tend to then just come upon religion as adults and decide that they're going to join a faith. Like, I've seen people convert for marriage and, like, things like that, but I feel like it's pretty rare that if you, like, don't have it as a child. So, like, I've seen people make the argument that, like, oh, well, raising without a religion is also indoctrinating in a way, but I'm just like, I don't know. That doesn't quite sit right with me.
I've known some people that have chosen religion. Like, they've been around a little bit. Just, I think just being in the South, I don't know that you can really avoid religion too much in this part of the country.
Culturally, it's very different. Yeah, than it is.
And so
even
it's
from
like,
the Midwest.
Yeah, like, even if you weren't just, like, raised in church, like, you were probably around church in some way, or you had a friend, you went to church with somebody at some point, like, you've been in a church, so, like, it's not unfamiliar territory, but it's just not, just wasn't something that was strong in your household. And then, like, I've seen those people later, of course, later in life as adults, kind of gravitate more towards religion. Like, and I've seen different reasonings, people feeling like they kind of needed that guiding system, or, like, things like that. And I think people, for the same reason, choose, like, other ethical systems, like, okay, like, I live by this kind of, these guidelines, and, so some people just, tend more towards, I guess, a more logical thing, and some people tend towards more, something they can feel.
Definitely. Well, and I think about even myself, I'm like, I'm a professional social worker, and we have a code of ethics, and, like, it's not religious, but, like, that is, like, one of several different ethical things that, like, influences how I believe. It's not a feeling thing. It's just very, like, yes, this is the profession, like.
Yeah. And so, so one of the ethics that, digging around, that I found that was kind of across world religions, I found this table that breaks it down. There was a lot, like, when I tell you, I feel like I was truly in grad school. Like, many of the things that I was reading and trying to get into were, like, journals and, like, things that are, what am I trying to say? Texts that people, people's dissertations and, educational papers and all kind of stuff. I'm like, oh Lord, I'm back in school for real. So we are on a project. Yes. So the principle of reciprocity is one of those ethics that kind of spreads across. So we have like Buddhism that says, look where you will, there's nothing dearer to a man than himself. Therefore, as it is the same thing that is dear to you and to others, hurt not others with what pains yourself.
Interesting.
And that's from the Udana Varga, 518. That's, yes. I don't, I'm like, ooh, there's some more text to get into. So Taoism says, regard your neighbor's gain as your own gain, and your neighbor's loss as your own loss. It's from their moral injunctions. The Tai Shang Kanying Ping. I'm gonna try.
You're better than me. Yeah.
I'm gonna just attempt. So forgive my misattempts. Hinduism says, this is the sum of duty. Do not to other what would cause pain if done to you. It's starting to sound a little more familiar, right?
Yeah, we've heard this concept before. I think.
Mahabharata. Hold on, I'm trying to make sure I get them all. Mahabharata. Okay, Mahabharata. Okay, 5:15, 5:1, 5:17. Okay, that's a lot of scripture in that one chapter.
Yeah, I've never read any Hindu scripture before. 1517. Yeah, it's a long one.
Woo! All right. Christianity says, in everything do to others as you would have them do to you, for this is the law of the prophets. That is Matthew 7:12. Islam says, not one of you believes until you wish for others what you wish for yourself. That is the Hadith 40 of No, okay. Did that cut off? No. Nawawi 13. Judaism says, what is hateful to you, do not to your neighbor. That is the whole Torah. While the rest is the commentary thereof. Go and learn it. It's Halal Talmud Shabbat 31a. All right, a couple more just to drive it home, right? Sikhism says, no one is my enemy and no one is a stranger. I get along with everyone. The Guru Granth Sahib, page 1299. And Jainism, I do not know this belief system. I've not heard of it. It says, indifferent to worldly objects, a man should wander about treating all creatures in the world so as he himself would be treated. That is the Sutra Kritanga. Sutra Kitanga. Book 1, Lecture 11, verse 33. Okay? So, reciprocity, right? So, we tend to have these things, and, you can start getting into religions, you start, sound like, well, there's a lot of them talking about the same thing.
It's a lot of overlap. It's a lot of
overlap. A lot of overlap. There's all kind of saying the same kind of stuff. Everybody there's these small little distinctions, and I'm like, really? Is that what's dividing us? But that tends to be it, right?
Yeah, what about astrology? What does astrology have to say?
What does astrology have to say? Well, now this, astrology doesn't necessarily have, again, a message.
Morality. Yeah.
Right. It's just like, hey, we're just talking about the energy, y'all.
So again,
do what you will with it.
What's the problem with astrology?
Why can't we have
it?
Talking about what's going on in the energy. We're not, do what you will. Again, astrology, y'all gonna do what you gonna do anyway. That's what astrology says. And that's why we're here in this age. Because shit went down. So let's talk about some of the approaches to challenges and adversity from a few different perspectives. Now, these aren't all of our religions, not even all the majors, but some of them, and astrology, of course, because it's astrology versus religion. So,
of course,
we'll start out with Christianity. So, Christianity says to trust in God's plan, right? If we're going through some stuff, They often emphasize trusting in God's plan, even in the face of adversity. So believers are encouraged to find strength in their faith and to persevere through challenges with the belief that God has a purpose for their lives. Right? Sound familiar? Also, prayer and resilience. So prayer is essential practice for Christianity during difficult times. Christians are going to seek strength, guidance, and solace through prayer. And the concept of resilience is drawing on the teachings of Jesus. It's also significant in facing adversity. We love to, we know what Jesus went through. So, I mean, if Jesus went through it, I got to be strong. Mm-hmm. Look at them. You see what they did to Jesus? That's what they always say. You see what they did to Jesus? Jesus on the cross. They put that man on the cross. He didn't do nothing. That's what's popular. Right. You see what they did to Jesus? So, what can we say? What can we really say?
Anything could happen.
The man apparently never did anything wrong. They hung him on a cross. So, hey. Anyway, so astrology talks about understanding cosmic influences. So astrology is going to posit that celestial bodies' positions at the time of one's birth can influence personality traits and life events. So in adversity, astrological guidance might involve understanding these cosmic influences and seeking alignment with potential positive energies, right?
Yeah.
So just get in line with some other stuff, right? We're going to go through some things.
Yes.
Also, self-reflection and growth. This is a big piece, right? So astrology encourages self-reflection during challenging times. Followers may turn to astrological insights for personal growth, examining how challenges align with their astrological profile and seeking transformation.
Yeah, I think that really gets to the gist of why I like astrology, because I think, I have a hard time with a lot of religious beliefs, because a lot of religious beliefs are like, it's blaming your problems elsewhere, like saying that,
again, too much on
it's like, no, you kind of need to take, I have, my belief system is that you should take responsibility for some of your own actions, and some things, while they might be fated to happen, the astrology can give you the tools to affect it, or to anyway, I don't know. So
they could be used in conjunction, right? Maybe.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear if any of the other things any of the other religions that we talk about will have that kind of self-reflection piece embedded in them that's more compatible. So I'm curious what you have to say here.
Yeah. So Islam says submission to Allah's will. So again, we're talking about challenges and adversity. So Islam teaches submission to Allah's will, emphasizing that challenges are part of a greater divine plan.
Doesn't that sound familiar? God's plan?
Muslims are encouraged to endure difficulties with patience and reliance on Allah, trusting that challenges serve a purpose in their spiritual journey. We also have dua, or supplication. So Muslims engage in dua or supplication during adversity, seeking guidance, strength, and relief from Allah. The process of turning to prayer and seeking solace in faith is integral in facing challenges in Islam.
Again, very familiar, that prayer aspect.
So Judaism talks about faith and resilience here. So they are going to encourage faith in God's providence, emphasizing the resilience in the face of adversity. And so the belief that God's guidance and that endurance of challenges as part of the divine plan are central tenets there, right? So again, it's
more emphasis on this divine plan,
Now, also here for the Jewish community, there's community support. So these communities often emphasize communal support during those challenging times, and the concept of tikkun olam, repairing the world, underscores the collective responsibility to address adversity and promote healing. So, again, we've drawn a little bit more community there. How we move through hard times. And then lastly, for this, we talk about how Buddhists look at adversity and challenges. And so the first concept here is impermanence and acceptance. So Buddhism teaches the impermanence of all things, including challenges. So adherents are encouraged to cultivate acceptance of life's ups and downs, recognizing that adversity is inherent to the human experience. So you got to go through the stuff, right? So it's just part of it.
Now, that to me sounds much more in line and compatible with the astrological beliefs, right? Just a little bit of surrender, a little bit of like acknowledging that, things are what they are. Yeah.
So then we also have mindfulness and inner peace, right? So Buddhist practices such as mindfulness meditation aim to cultivate inner peace. So during adversity, Buddhists may turn to these practices to maintain a calm and centered mindset, focusing on the present moment. So, we're going to talk about the interconnectedness of all things here. So when we're talking about, how are we looking at the different religions, and how does astrology see, how is this all connected? So we'll start back off with Christianity, and we're going to start with divine unity when we're talking about Christianity. So Christianity is going to emphasize interconnectedness of all creation through the concept of divine unity. And so this belief is that everything is part of God's creation, fosters a sense of interconnectedness among all living beings.
Now, this is one thing I can get down with for sure. Like, everything is everything, right?
Everything is, we're all connected, right? This is all...
Everything's connected.
Yeah. So also, another tenet here is love thy neighbor. So
of course.
That Christian principle, love thy neighbor, underscores the interconnectedness of humanity, right? Because we're all neighbors. Yeah. We're all brothers and sisters in Christ.
Hey, neighbor.
Okay. So Christians are encouraged.
Shout out to Mr. Rogers.
Christians are encouraged to recognize the inherent worth of every individual. Let's hear that. Every individual. Maybe we should revisit some of these things, okay? Like, what does it actually say? And to foster a sense of community and interconnectedness. We got to get back to what is religion actually talking about? Because maybe we need to reconnect to what it's talking about. Because it sounds like you don't know. You sound a little lost. So now, what does astrology say? I don't know how I found myself back on this other page. But astrology talks about cosmic harmony.
I love the way that sounds. Cosmic harmony. Yeah.
So, astrology is going to suggest that individuals are connected to the cosmos, right? We're all connected to just all this energy out here, this space, and these planets and galaxies, and like all this stuff, we're feeling it. So with the celestial bodies influencing our personality and our destiny, right? So followers of astrology may perceive a harmonious connection between macrocosm, the cosmos, and the microcosm, the individuals.
As above, so below, baby.
Okay. A little micro, right? Yeah. And we have zodiacal relationships. Ooh. So, the zodiac, representing interconnected personality traits and characteristics, reflects the belief in a cosmic web linking individuals. So, astrology is going to encourage understanding and harmony with these interconnected relationships.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay. So, now what does Islam say? So, we have Ummah, which is community. So they're promoting the concept of Ummah, a community of believers. So Muslims believe the interconnectedness of the global Muslim community, fostering a sense of shared responsibility and unity amongst followers.
I'm sensing so many themes, really, like interconnectedness,
so many similar themes,
unity. Like, yeah, it's so fascinating.
So much similarity. And then we have Tawhid, oneness of God. So the Islamic principle of Tawhid, I just want to say it right. Should have looked up some of these things, these pronunciations before.
Sorry.
But
please tell us if we're wrong and you know it.
Yes. Just you hear me trying. It's going to emphasize the oneness of God, highlighting the interconnectedness of all creation through their common origin in the divine.
Okay.
Right, so we're all connected through the divine.
More connectedness, yes.
And
everything is everything.
Everything is everything. So Judaism looks at interconnectedness as like the covenant and community. So their covenant between God and the Jewish people underscores a sense of communal interconnectedness there. So Jews are bound by shared commitments and responsibilities, reinforcing a collective sense of belonging. Then there's also environmental stewardship. So Judaism encourages environmental stewardship based on the belief that humans are interconnected with the natural world. So concepts like Baal Tashit, do not destroy, highlight responsibility to protect and preserve the environment.
Wow. Okay, I didn't really know that.
Yeah, I didn't either. I'm like, oh, how did you know that?
I did not know that.
So, last we have, how does Buddhism look at interconnectedness? So, the first concept here is interdependence. Buddhism teaches that the concept of interdependence, emphasizing that all phenomena are interconnected and mutually dependent. The understanding of causality and interdependence is central to Buddhist philosophy.
Interesting.
Right, so there's a cause, and then there's a connectedness with everything to make it work. Last, as far as concepts for Buddhism, is compassion and connection. So the practice of cultivating compassion in Buddhism fosters a sense of connection with all living beings. Recognizing that interconnectedness of suffering, Buddhists strive to alleviate pain and promote well-being.
Interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
So, the last piece we're going to get into right here is rituals and practices. Oh, yeah, I do have some additional stuff here at the bottom, too, with this one. Because I was like, I shortened this, but there's like stuff if we want to talk more deeply. So, this would be where we do this. But, so astrology itself doesn't have its own rituals and practices outside of readings and consultations, right? Like, there's not like
specific things.
I don't know what people think we're over here doing. We're practicing astrology. Like, it's not a craft. It's such a sorcery.
The most that you're gonna get is me charging my crystals under the full moon, but those are like several different kinds of practices.
Right, and so like when we, I think when we talk about, again, and that's why I wanted to like get into these definitions, because a lot of people just lump a lot of stuff together. Astrology and crystals, and you also do meditation. Well, that's part of some other religious practice.
That's a Buddhist practice.
That's a Buddhist practice. Like, actually, but also I do this over here, and so it's like, a lot of these things just get lumped and jumbled together, and people just think that it's all part of one thing, and it's like, no, you're just talking to someone who engages in a lot of different practices.
Right, it doesn't have to just be one thing. Yeah.
And which is why, you have so many people who are like, I'm spiritual. I'm not claiming any specific thing. I take what I do. I do what I do. Yeah. I take what I need.
I have my practices, and they're good with me.
Yes. So, religious rituals and practices, again, very widely even within specific religions. And so we talked about this
As we
earlier.
discussed, yeah.
You know, those
Yeah.
Christian denominations. Or even,
So many.
yeah, like various factions of religions. Like, you know, Christians are definitely not the only ones. They're definitely the religions that definitely have their, like, split groups. And no, we don't do that. We don't know what they're doing over there.
You know, there's been a war amongst their different factions for years and years and years. Yeah. And there's other ones that I haven't even heard of, I'm certain. You know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So just know that, you know, that's kind of a normal thing. People just don't agree, right? And then they just were like, I'm going to do my own thing.
Yes.
Make my own church.
I'm going to do it myself. Yeah, exactly.
So, some of those practices, just, you know, in general, of course, there are many practices and rituals, so this is not exhaustive by any means. These are just a couple each. So Christianity, you know, prayer and worship are some of those rituals. You know, you think about going into a church. Now, prayer and worship, I guess, in my mind, also takes me into, like, church. There's a section of church called prayer and worship, and I think this is probably just prayer and worship of God. Prayer to God and worship of God. And there's also prayer and worship as the practice that you do in church. So, like, that's now, the favorite part.
Yeah, what is that? Will you explain it?
So, okay, now I will explain from the view of the churches that I have attended, you know, because I know that every church, some churches don't do music. So that's a whole thing. So, like, when we do prayer, you know, like, prayer and worship would not be musical. And I'm like, prayer and worship is when, you know, we have the praise team at the beginning. You know, maybe there's a choir, but maybe not. And there's usually singing, and there's, like, a scripture written. There's, like, it's usually at the beginning of church, and, like, usually there's, like, a welcome, and there's, you know, it's a lot of things going on during prayer and worship, but it's usually a lively time. People greeting each other. People probably coming into the church late. You know, if you're in a black church, you know, people just coming in at all different times.
You said it, not me. I'm
well, you know, I can speak on it.
Yeah.
People coming in, you know. We come in at all different times during church. So that's just, you know, the first about 30 minutes, you know, people just coming in. You know, and about, you get to the sermon, about, you know, 15 more people come in about time for the word. Because some people not coming for the rest of that.
Christine, sometimes I forget because we don't know each other in this context, but I forget, like, how deeply rooted in church shit you are. Because it just like, comes out. I'm just like, oh my God, I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. I'm like, yeah, what's a praise team? Like,
okay, let's break it down. See, so I'm going to get to the definitions. Okay, so the praise team. So the praise team is a smaller group, typically, of individual, like, singers. You have, like, your choir, which may be, you know, large or small. I don't know. That depends on church.
Sure.
But you typically have a praise team that comes at the beginning of church and leads prayer and worship, or praise and worship.
Sorry, yeah.
Well, also, that's why I got confused. Praise and worship is what we do in church. That's the section of church. I'm sorry, that says prayer and worship. Which there is a prayer in praise and worship.
Man,
there's
I
a
can't
prayer,
keep it straight.
There's a scripture, you know. It's a whole, you know, church has, you know, its own, you know.
There's levels to this shit.
Sections that, you know, there's different points in time, you know, there's time for the offering, there's time for the sermon or the homily or whatever, you know, you call it, the message, right? You know, so there's different things.
I know this is so inappropriate, but the first thing that came to my mind when you started talking about, like, the different people doing different things at different times was, oh fuck, now it's lost. I've lost it.
No.
The show on HBO, The Righteous Gemstones. Have you watched The Righteous Gemstones?
Yes. Oh, I love that show. I was like, did it get canceled? I really was wanting that to come back on.
I thought there was new episodes, like, within the last year.
Okay. I think I just renewed my HBO subscription. I'm gonna go look.
Okay. It just keeps getting more and more ridiculous. Like, it is just absolutely ridiculous. Like, as soon as they brought Eric Andre on, I was like, okay, this is about to get weird. Like, and it did, but I still love it. Like,
it's wild. Like, I think the first season was, you know, just, it had to be the best for me because it was the perfect, like, parody
Yes, exactly.
Of just church and like some of the grandiosity and some of the just kind of ridiculousness and the competitiveness and like the different things that maybe people that don't go to church don't know to be going on in church.
Well, and I know that like those kind of churches, I mean, it was crazy to me because I've never been to a mega church, but like I know that shit is real. Like people put millions and millions of dollars into that shit. So you know. I mean, anyway.
You know, even if you go to a small church, you know the church building fund. You just know there's certain things that you just know about that just happen in church because it's just common. Like, oh yeah, we have a building fund and we're gonna do a new gym. It's gonna be ready in about 3 years. You know, like and sometimes the building fund is a long time. You're like, we've had this building fund for 10 years. Like,
we're really. I hope that building is coming soon.
Whew.
Ooh, okay, anyway, sorry. We've gotten way off track. Talk to me more about some different religion. I almost said
yes. So
rituals,
the second part of that for Christianity was sacraments. So you think about things such as baptism, communion, those rituals symbolizing spiritual rebirth. And communion with God, you know those creepy things like drinking the blood.
I know. Sorry to offend anybody. Like,
plenty of people come for that practice. You know, it's like you talk about witchcraft and you talk about these things and you okay.
It sounds metaphorical, but y'all don't really think that. You really think that you're eating God. Like, I don't know.
Well, it is okay. It is a practice, like it's well now I can't speak for Catholicism, but like
I'm talking specifically about Catholicism. They get weird with it. They take it very literally.
It's like this is a ritual. They do say like this is representative of my body. At least in the churches I've gone to. The scripture says that actually it's representative.
I think that's how most people believe it. I am not joking in that, like, there are some Catholic sectors that, like, think of it in a very literal way. Like,
that's wild. See, I'm like, well, that's interesting. Like, I'm sorry, that's not wild. That's interesting.
No, it's a little wild. I thought, as a person who had never been exposed to it before, as a teen, I was like, what? Y'all believe what now? Anyway,
I'd be drinking blood. Like, no, I wasn't just quick, like, I remember growing up in church and like our church did not serve wine for like most of the time I was in church. And there was a point where they decided to start serving wine and it was like this big thing. Because again, like part of Baptist faith also is like drinking is not...
It's not really condoned, right?
It's not condoned. So like, why are we serving wine in church? So it was like a big discussion when it even came up. Like, and people are like, it's this, it's the little community. It's like no one's getting drunk. Like no one's like, and people, some people were still like, I just will not drink, alcohol. And so then they basically had to serve juice and wine.
That's crazy that people think that because, like, in the Jesus times, like, they were drinking wine because the water was not
Jesus
clean.
Turned water into wine. It was was it the first miracle? It literally was the first miracle.
Like, why do you have such a problem with it?
So what is the issue? Okay, so we won't get too far into, I have the most to say about Christianity, obviously, because it's my personal experience. But we won't rag too hard on them. Okay, so astrology. What are the rituals and practices in astrology, right? We said birth chart readings, right?
Of course.
Creating and interpreting a birth chart, making the positions of the celestial bodies, at the time, or I'm sorry, mapping, not making, at the time of one's birth. And so that's ritual is going to offer insights into personality traits and life events, right? So that's the ritual. Consultations in that same way, like your astrologer may have a consultation with you for guidance, and so those sessions are going to serve as rituals seeking advice and understanding of the cosmic influences, so that you can make informed life decisions.
Of course, just some guidance, some light guidance.
So now in Islam, some of their rituals and practices. You have the 5 daily prayers. Many people probably know about those prayers. Salah. Islam is going to place significant emphasis on the 5 daily prayers. And so those rituals involve specific physical movements and recitations, fostering a connection with Allah and providing structured routine for spiritual practice. I will say, I do love the, like, routineness of, like, the Islam faith. Like, I love that. I love to see, like, something that's, like, dedicated to that. That feels very meaningful to me. So I'm like, I like it.
Sorry, I was just going to say really quickly. I think that it's like weirdly intoxicating to, I don't know, not weirdly, but it's like kind of intoxicating to watch somebody be really dedicated to something in that way. And like the rituals feel very pretty and very honorable. And like, I feel that way about some Catholic things as well. Like there's a lot of kneeling. There's a lot of like, I feel that way about taking communion, like just doing the little hand things and like, sorry, I know so little, but I'm just like, there's something really comforting in ritual in general, I think.
Yeah, and I think maybe just seeing that, especially from that faith or what I have seen, I just, it's something that I lack seeing in the faith that I have come from, because there's so much different stuff, but like there's a lot less commitment to to really living your life in a certain way. And like I do feel like many people who in the Muslim community, like that is, it's a driving factor in all things. I'm like, at the least I can respect it. And so
so I have a thought, and this might just be like a Shelby High thought, but whatever, we have a few minutes, so I'm just gonna say it. So do you feel like there's a correlation between rituals and like the dedication to the rituals of a religion and like the level of persecution that religion has endured? Because I feel like Christianity on the whole, like most people that I know, especially in the United States, Christianity is it's the most popular religion. It is the most widespread. And so many people who purport themselves to be Christian are kind of just like, whatever, I'm going to make up my own rules, or I'm going to do this part, or I'm going to do that part. Whereas I feel like in places where people are persecuted for their religion or for their belief system or for, their culture in some way, then it almost drives them further towards that culture and like deeper into those rituals and deeper into that commitment.
That faith. Yeah. Wow.
And like, I don't know, that came out better than I even thought it would. I was like, this is going to be a high. Thank you.
And like, I'm fairly sober at this moment, so I'm like, I caught what you was putting out. Like,
it just, and
our thoughts, yes.
Is that also kind of why it is like intriguing to us, or something that we're like interested in? Like, I'm not gonna, it's not gonna make me follow Islam.
You're not gonna write a new dissertation? You're not gonna study Islam? Because I think that's a very interesting, like, I'm like,
interesting topic.
Write that down. Like, somebody's research. If it hasn't been researched, like, that's interesting, like, connection.
Maybe I
like,
will.
Like, okay, you might be just save it and put it in your pocket for later, just in case you feel like you want to do
a little something.
Get in your research bag again.
If any of our listeners have profound thoughts about that, I would love to hear them.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Okay, so the second practice or ritual we have for the Islamic faith is the Hajj pilgrimage.
Yes.
So, yes, the pilgrimage to Mecca. Right, that's a major ritual in Islam performed by Muslims who are physically and financially able, right? So everybody ain't able. So it's a big deal. It symbolizes unity, equality, and spiritual renewal. So, yeah. I know that's
makes sense.
Just big thing. So in Judaism, we have Shabbat. I know Shabbat. So Jews observe the Shabbat, a weekly day of rest and worship. Again, something, Christians supposed to have. 7-day Adventist. Again, a denomination that really feels strongly about observing that the seventh
day. Yeah. Don't take my day off. You know,
which is Saturday, and so
that's right.
That's right. It's like the Sabbath. But again, I've researched. I think maybe beginning when I first started looking into this. In the beginning, I was like, what happened with the Sabbath? How did we get to Sunday
worship? How did
worship?
We go from Sunday? Yeah, now everything's closed on Sunday. And
right, why are we
also,
doing
when you
things
start
on
looking
Sunday?
into how many things just in our regular society are just influenced by religion, like the fact that like most people's day of rest for the United States is Sunday. Like that's when people go to church. That's when stores are closed. Crazy.
It's, hey. Founded. That's how we were founded, and it's very deeply rooted and indoctrinated in our society, is it?
Sure is. It sure is.
So okay, back to Shabbat. So rituals include lighting candles, reciting prayers, partaking in a festive meal, fostering a sense of spiritual renewal and community. Love it. I would, this is nice for. I'm like, I'm here with this. I'm here with Shabbat. Like,
that's lovely. Yeah.
Like, let's do that. Then we have bar and bat mitzvahs, right? The party.
Yeah.
And so this ceremony is a ceremony that marks a Jewish adolescent's coming of age, involving specific rituals and readings from the Torah, and it signifies a deeper engagement with Jewish traditions and responsibilities.
I feel like as a kid, I
knew
a man now. So much about bar mitzvahs because of cartoons on Nickelodeon. Like, for whatever reason, the main character, Hey Arnold, was Jewish, and also so were the Rugrats. Like, they were a Jewish family. They had an episode. I like deeply rooted memories as a kid of the Hey Arnold episode where he reads from the Torah at his bar mitzvah. Is it bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah? I can't remember.
His is a bar mitzvah.
Thank you. Okay, yeah. And then I remember like there was like a there was a holiday episode of the Rugrats. Like, I don't know why, I just felt like I knew that from.
That's very interesting that it stuck out to you in that way, because I'm like, now I watched both of those shows and I do remember when you say that, I'm like, okay, yes, Tommy's family.
Yeah.
It was like the Lipschitz. I'm like, okay, yeah. Like,
yeah, very Jewish. Clearly,
very
right?
Jewish kind of thing. But it just, I'm like, now that I think about it, it's kind of like, in retrospect, I'm like, oh yeah, they were Jewish.
Yeah.
But it didn't stick out at the time. But yeah.
I think maybe not having grown up with religion or like grown up in a religious family, like when I heard about or like experienced religion through my peers, it was really impactful for me. Like so TV things, like when I would have to go to church, like I have an aunt who's married Catholic, and like I remember staying at her house as a kid, and she'd be like, well, you have to come to mass with us, and I'd be like, okay. So all that shit, like I remember it very clearly because it was such a novel experience for me, I think.
Yeah. I mean, even I will say like visiting like other churches or like other, I will say like a very impactful experience, even though I hated this teacher in high school. We had like a AP World History World Lit class that was combined in the 10th grade. And one of our big things in that class is we took several field trips to different churches and religious centers. So we went to the Hindu Center out in West Nashville. Yeah.
Oh,
we went to like a
really
Greek
nice.
Orthodox church. We took a trip to some like monastery in Indiana. We went to the synagogue out in like Franklin or Brentwood. We went to several different places, and I loved it. I was just like, I soaked it all in. I really like the Hindu temple. I've been out there several times. I enjoy it very much.
They're like beautiful, and I remember feeling the same way in high school. So obviously I went to the Catholic school, so I was kind of like, at the time I was probably like not very nice about how weirded out I was by Catholicism. But I also like, there's a long story behind that. Anyway, the experiences of religion outside of that I had were really interesting and nuanced, and like, I don't know, like learning about Buddhism as as a high schooler, like, it really appealed to me, and I was, like, really drawn to that, and I don't know if I just thought it was cool or what, but that's the thing I was, like, naturally drawn to. Much more of the Eastern ideas.
I definitely will, I can agree, like, especially, now that I've done some more study later in my life and stuff, I definitely am drawn to kind of more Eastern practices. But, I mean, there's a lot of, my practices kind of vary, too. Like, there's some other things. But, yeah, I mean, I'm definitely, I can't say I'm over here like damn mindfulness coach. Like,
yeah, of course. Like, definitely had some influence, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, so on that note, lastly, speaking of Buddhism, meditation practice, one of their rituals, right? And this is a central ritual for cultivating mindfulness and achieving enlightenment. So various forms of meditation, such as mindfulness and loving kindness. I love a loving kindness meditation.
We love it.
We love it. Very integral to the Buddhist practices.
Yes.
Lastly, we have offerings and puja. And so Buddhists engage in rituals involving offerings. You know what that means. Giving. And worship, which is puja. So these practices are going to vary across Buddhist traditions, but generally involve expressing gratitude, seeking blessings, and honoring enlightened beings.
Okay.
All right.
Interesting.
So far, Shelby, what you feeling? What you feeling like? I know we still got some more to cover tomorrow, or whenever part 2. But
you guys will not get it tomorrow. That's
right.
For sure. I'm kind of. I mean, I honestly, I do feel like I'm okay. One, I'm very impressed. I learned many things today that I did not know, but I also feel like, similarly to the way that I did when we started this, of just like, why can't we have whatever beliefs
is it versus
us, right? Why does it have to be versus? Why is there
versus? Should we call this episode versus?
Oh no, because some people
they don't know what it means. Yeah.
You know what? I am gonna spell it like that when we do the episode. Astrology versus religion
instead
of just the BS, the traditional way. Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I'm liking it. Unless they try to come for us on the spelling, like, that's trademarks. Like, come on, y'all. Come on.
All right. Any attention is good attention
good
at this point.
You, right.
With this podcast, come on over.
Yes. All right. So next time we'll get into some cultural things, the cultural impacts of all of these things. And
for the culture.
All right. For the cultures.
Yes.
So hopefully you've enjoyed that. I think we'll take a quick break.
Yeah, we'll take a quick break.
Yeah, we'll take a quick break.
We'll come right back. All right, y'all. We are back just to say goodbye.
Just to say goodbye, y'all.
No horoscopes this week because we knew this was going to be a pretty heavy episode. But I think we covered some good ground here. I think we did a good job. Thank you, Christine, for your diligent research. You can't see what she's doing right now, but she's taking a little bow.
Yes.
Yeah. Taking a little bow.
Yes, it was intensive.
I was like,
okay.
I hope you guys enjoyed that, because I'm tired.
Yeah.
That's all I'm ready to go turn my brain off now.
Until the next time, until part 2.
Yes.
But yeah,
exactly.
I think this has been, maybe it's been, I'm glad to like see it into fruition and move forward. It's like I got it out. I got the Age of Aquarius out. I got the Astrology versus Religion out. I feel like I have accomplished what I came to do.
Yes. I'm very proud of you.
Finally.
I'm proud of us. Yes. And now we've got the freedom to go wherever we want with everything else.
We want to go.
Maybe we'll tackle that astrology and finances episode.
It's coming. Isn't this?
It's coming.
It coming this season? I think
No.
it is.
Is it?
Or the investing? Yeah, like
That's
I really
what
want
it is.
to. Yeah, I
Investing.
really want to get because we need to get the bag. We need to come on.
Hey,
and
look,
do that
I'm
one now.
begging for that Capricorn North Node to show up in my life somehow. So yes.
So we need to get
I'm
deep
working
into that
towards
episode.
it.
Okay,
That's right.
Like deep into it.
So thank y'all for staying with us. We're gonna get out of here.
So if you want to contact us, you want to suggest some things, you want to make some comments, you want a reading, hit us up at the email suchapiscespod@gmail.com. It is suchapiscespod@gmail.com.
And as always, you can also find us at Such a Pisces Pod on Instagram, on TikTok, on Threads, on Twitter, on Facebook. Anywhere you can find podcasts, you can find us at Such a Pisces Pod. And if you haven't already, leave us a review, give us a little rating, leave us your thoughts. We really, really enjoy hearing from you, honestly. So it makes us feel like this is not just a one-way conversation, right?
Okay. Come on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tell us you're out there.
Like, hello. We know you're listening. We see you. Like we see you in the numbers. So we know you're there.
That's right. That sounded so ominous. We know you're there.
We know you're there.
Well, anyway, hopefully that worked for you. Hopefully you still are listening after we basically threatened you. Let's get out of here.
We're gonna go. I'm gonna head out.
All right, I'm gonna head out.
Y'all stay safe in these streets. Definitely protect your energy.
And as always, seduce and scheme safely.
Always safely. Peace.
Bye.